Welcome to In the Know with Steph and Joe. In the Know with Steph and Joe is all about small business development. These two entrepreneurs bring real-life experience, laughter, and, well, just a ton of knowledge on how to build your small business and make it thrive. After all, this is your creation. Now learn how to make it sing. In the Know with Steph and Joe airs Fridays at 3 p.m. right here on 216 The Net. Like, follow Steph's books and Restoration One of Cary, along with 216 The Net on Facebook, and subscribe to the 216 The Net YouTube channel. Welcome in to In the Know with Steph and Joe, and let's just hope that the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train.
Or a glory
train
hole.
wreck.
Or a train wreck.
Why wouldn't you want it to be a glory hole?
Hey!
I guess
3 seconds in, ladies.
Just-
Didn't take
We
long
just got
to
in
get
and here we are. We're talking.
That's the wrong tunnel. I think you're
Talking
looking at.
tunnel.
Well, he said it would be a bad thing. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Let's
so
get
I
back
feel like
on
we're
track.
all like
Let's get back
recapping
on-
I mean, you
from
could be
the.
looking if you're climbing the corporate ladder.
So Kent's back in town finally from his adventure. We all three were at the McHenry Gala this past
Weekend.
weekend on
And we
Saturday.
enjoyed ourselves, did
So we
certainly
did some
did.
networking, some
We
camaraderie
did some
building,
networking.
some team building,
Mhm.
some whatever you want to call
Is
it.
that what you call it?
Yeah. We all got to know each other much better.
A little
Yes.
bit better.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to find a new venue for next year, but
Yeah,
hey,
they're gonna have to.
Oh, for
Allegedly.
sure.
Allegedly.
Oh,
Mhm.
ledge.
yeah.
The
It's all
fact
allegedly.
that 4 cop cars were there.
The SUV ones.
No, I-
So
The
you
Yeah.
know.
SUV,
It's good to
three
see-
three were SUVs,
It's good
one
to
regular
see the boys
car.
in blue
Supporting the chamber.
Supporting
right?
the chamber.
Yep.
I
They're
love
sponsors.
that. Oh, I love that. Yeah,
possible.
Yeah.
But
If only they were there sooner.
Yeah.
if only we were there sooner.
If they- maybe we could have stopped it.
We had
We
a
participated.
break. We had a break in the event.
We
we needed a
enjoyed
break.
ourselves.
We take a
Anyway,
break.
let's get
But
down
so-
this train hole.
So today we're talking about light at the end of the tunnel. So has anybody ever been in a situation in the trenches so deep that they just couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel for their goal? Like it was such a long-term goal that it was so difficult for them to see the progress.
So, can I just say that when Carrie and I talk about this in any form or fashion, when we talk about a project that is large, right? No matter what the project is, it's not a tunnel in the sense to us. It's how do you eat an elephant?
Right. Well, I call it the trenches, but yeah. Mhm.
Well, so to us, any big project is how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Like
Why are
you
eating
don't eat an
elephants?
elephant. I understand.
They're endangered,
Screw
Joe.
us.
Tastes like chicken.
This is the second time I've heard this analogy in one day. Believe it or not.
Really? Come on.
We had
I
a,
mean,
we had an annual
you know.
planning meeting today, and the elephant was on the slideshow and everything.
Really?
Really?
Hell.
Yeah. You're,
So-
you were
so
perfect.
Why
how-
are
thought.
pink meat?
So the
Oh
analogy.
shit!
Hang on.
Shots fired. How do you
Well,
respond, Joe Turner? Hold
I'm
on.
not
Talk about.
responding because I know I get in trouble when I do that. All I'm saying is the elephant analogy and eating an elephant is it's a very, very large thing. How do you do it? You do it one step at a time, one bite at a time, right? Like, so in my world, I don't look at things as a tunnel, I guess.
But whether it's a tunnel, it's a trench, it's an elephant, it's
A
something.
stairway, you look at
Right.
it as one step at a time. Then.
Right. So like,
There you go.
how do you?
There you go. I like that analogy. Yeah. However you want to look
Like,
at it.
how do you kind of go through that? Because I had to eat crow the other day in the office, like with this exact situation.
For those turning in who are
What is
who are
eat
supporters
crow?
of
Can you
PETA.
please describe eat crow?
Yeah, we are.
Does
not-
crow
we are
refer
a lot
to
of
the
weird
end
animals.
of the glory hole?
No, it's okay. So like I was saying in the office that I felt like we had a really slow So I was saying to the girls, I felt like we had a really slow January, and I was like, that this seems really weird and whatever. And I just feel like there's something wrong. Then when I ran my financials yesterday, because I had a minute, because I have to prepare to do my estimated taxes, and I was like, oh shit, this January
we crushed
was
January.
actually our highest billing month from the whole creation of Steph's bookkeeping.
So
I
now,
was like, huh. So clearly I have a very solid team that can execute in a pretty precise
well-oiled
manner
machine,
and get things done timely to the point where I'm like, God damn, like we need to grow more. Like this is bullshit. But we really did. Like our last January, we doubled in size from our last January.
I have a great analogy. So that's like if you were to throw, quote unquote, the hot dog down the hallway.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't hit any of the rim.
Just saying that's offensive to all women. Okay, go ahead.
Doesn't matter. It could be offensive to men.
Oh, true. Okay,
Fair
fine,
point.
go.
Thank you. Thank you.
What if you have an open floor plan? There are no hallways.
That sounds like a different show.
I know. We're at the buffet eating wild
We're talking
animals.
different things. Anyway, what if you were to throw it and it doesn't hit any of the borders? Any of the borders now? Let's just say, a few adjustments and.
Well, that kind of has happened too before. Like I tried to bid out on a few firms and I didn't get those bids due to whatever reasoning. Some of I had too many contingencies in my contract, or I didn't have enough tax experience. So the person didn't want to let it go. But now I have this other opportunity in front of me where I could bid potentially in front of 500 or 600 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
now you're going to start to literally hit the rim of that hallway.
Right. So maybe buying
Your
the
hot
firm
dog just got bigger.
Maybe buying the firm wasn't my path. Maybe consistently picking and choosing is my path.
To strategically grow your
shower.
I'd like to call on Kent.
Yes.
Wait, hang on. You're trying to strategically grow your hot dog?
We're trying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
I think I need to shower. Anyway, so let me ask
Why?
you. Let me ask you a question because we're talking about the light at the end of the tunnel, short-term versus long-term planning.
Right.
So my question is, then, you're an elephant guy. When you enter the tunnel, it's not dark. Then what you're saying is you always see the light. Right.
I love that because yes, I told that to somebody at lunch today.
Yeah.
Was I walk in and they go, "Well, wait, when do you see the light?"
Yeah,
and
that's a great question.
I go, "No, I always see the light.
I
walk
You
in,
don't.
I create the tunnel, and I already see the light at the end of the tunnel."
Yeah. Okay.
To me,
So you see the other side of the mountain. I mean, you're in there blasting, but you see the other side of the mountain already.
F&A,
right?
Cotton.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'll get so engulfed in the trenches of
Right.
something that I will not see. I will basically live in a 3-foot world.
Well, that's because that's how tall you are.
Yeah.
They-
I didn't want to go there.
I will
So-
basically live in this small
Right.
bubble, and I
Right,
can only
because-
Come
see
on.
because
so
your
much in front of
goal-
me.
Your goal in January was you made a big move. It's very lonely here at the studio now.
It's so sad every time I come in and my signage is down.
Without
Wait,
Steph's
wait.
Brooks, right?
You're still
So-
looking forward though, beyond 3
Right.
feet.
I am looking forward, but it's just a matter of getting to that next step. And sometimes it takes so long to get to that
Yeah.
next step or next phase that you get lost in the dark and you're like, it's not working,
Mhm.
or you get fed up, or you're like, this is stupid. I'm wasting money. I need to pull back. You start panicking. You start having a claustrophobic moment when you're so deep in the trenches and you can't look at it from a 10,000-foot overview. And that's
30,000.
Yeah.
Go-
Yeah,
go, you
or
guys
30,000.
Which
draw
is
it.
exactly the problem. It's your perspective.
right. Like I'll
She's
get
the
Too
man.
so
short. She
I
can't
know,
stand up
but
tall
what
enough.
you-
Well.
What you said a moment ago is absolutely true. You're like, I thought I was doing really bad till I ran the numbers, and the math doesn't lie.
right.
I
Love
say
that.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
say that every day in my job. Like the math doesn't lie to check the
Numbers,
math.
numbers don't
'Cause
lie.
People make a lot of broad generalizations
Mhm.
to me in my day to day. Oh my God, my marketing isn't working. Oh, really? Did you run the numbers? Well, no, I'm just not getting very many calls. Like, well, what did you spend and what did you get? well, I don't know. Well, let's run it. And you run it and it's doing well. It's perceptional. So
Right.
you're
Love that.
seeing the light on the other side because maybe you're spot checking your progress as you go and you're getting buried because you're not running the numbers.
What
Well,
are
I'm getting
some?
buried because I just didn't have, I guess, I am such a control freak that I just couldn't let go of so many things
To here is the problem.
up until semi recently. And now I have, a bigger team. And while I'm front loading the labor costs on that team,
Yeah.
I know within the next 3 months, I will fill their days.
April,
So it's like, I just need to have more confidence in myself.
you need like a little booster under your chair to get you up
Or phone book.
just
Phone
above
book.
just above the
Phone
just
book.
above the
Let me
microphone.
ask you three a
Hey.
different question.
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
I got one question for April. Being the term subject matter expert in this, what would you say is the best metrics to kind of measure yourself off of if you're saying, hey, what's the light at my end of the tunnel to say that this marketing or this whatever kind of ROI that kind of thing?
For me, like the number one measure for me, like the first thing I'm looking at is top line revenue growth. That's one. You also need to look at your bottom line growth.
Top and bottom.
But then
Love
it
that.
becomes
And front loading.
those are really important.
Top
Those are
and
really
bottom.
important
Front-
roles
front
to
loading glory.
Listen, top and bottom.
You
We
gotta
need to make sure those are
designate-
covered.
you
I
gotta
agree.
Designate those from the beginning, or else people get confused.
Yeah.
We don't like confusion in business.
I love to make sure that my top and bottom are easily discerned.
Yes. So that's broad brush. But if you're talking specific strategies, it depends what the strategy is. If it's marketing,
How you
you're
want to
looking
market.
at what are you spending, what are you getting, and what you're getting isn't always just revenue based. Sometimes it's leads because your marketing might be working. You might be getting leads, but are you closing them? Like, what's your lead to close? What's your lead to bid and your bid to close? Like, those are different numbers.
Mhm,
So it just depends on the context is super important.
Well, yeah, because me being able to kind of add additional staff members and me being able to get back out in front of like people in the local community or back out on Facebook or whatever the case may be, our marketing, our conversions from Google clicks versus referrals is kind of coming close to each other. So I'm getting to a point where I can pull back on my Google and like the whatever pay per ads or whatever, the click per ads or whatever they call it. I could pull back on that because now I have this person in my office or people in my office. Now I can start getting back.
You could do a
out
whole
there.
hour just on that.
I
Right.
mean, we could. I was
Right.
going to say we could talk so
we
much
talk
about
for 3
that.
hours.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by all because you're all number people, right? I mean, to me, it's wonderful.
I mean, we might.
The
The
numbers
numbers.
don't
lie.
They don't lie. They don't play to your emotions.
Right, but
Love that.
But as a salesperson,
But
where-
they're a
where my
little
background
blurry
is
All
when you
emotional.
start to have
Salespeople
libations.
are
Yeah,
emotional.
you know, it's like, I got to go out. I had a great
Yeah.
day.
I
I
love
talked
that.
to 6 people. Am I closer to the goal? I don't know. I don't even know what the light. I mean, the light's out there, but again, I don't.
Right.
I'm just trying to run at it, right? And it is. I'm like, oh man, I had a shit day. Well, little did I know that 6 people called in and deals landed. You know what I'm saying? So as we look at business projects, one of the hardest things for me from a business owner standpoint is to slow down and look at the whole elephant or look at the numbers part of it and go,
Look
okay,
down the whole tunnel.
Yeah, right. Because to me, it's like I'm just punching whatever's in front of me and let's go.
Right. Well, I feel like I have gotten bitchy in the office because I feel like we're behind or we're not doing this or this isn't. Like, I feel like these things aren't happening, but then when I look at the numbers and I look at the feedback and the emails I get from the clients, I'm like, well, shit. Like, now I owe somebody
just
like a
because
lunch or an apology.
Just because your employees flinch every time that you walk by.
But that's okay. I want to keep that.
So I understand that you eat elephants and all that,
Yeah.
but like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, you
That's
get
not its
to
trunk.
like such an anxiety point where you're like, I need to pivot, this isn't working, but you really don't know because you're so in the dark, and you're like, I'm like, I need to do something, but then when you finally look at your numbers, you're like, well, shit, it's a good thing I kept pace, because then I got out of this tunnel, or I finally finished my elephant or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So has it been like a marketing thing or a
100%? It's always
thing,
marketing.
or
It's always marketing.
what about a growth thing, or what about an employee thing? Like nothing? It's just marketing?
I feel like most growth things, I don't know, for our industry is like you hire somebody, you kind of know right away whether or not they're in or they're out, or they're going to work or they're not going to work. I mean, you have a pretty good idea. But like a marketing thing, and when I say pretty quickly, it's like within a month.
Well, you know if somebody's going to work out as an employee,
human, right?
Within the first like 30 to 45 days.
That's what I'm saying is like in response to your question is like a marketing thing, a marketing strategy, or a marketing, like campaign.
6+ months.
Exactly. Right. There you go. So thank you. So like, it's like, yeah, I could throw it out there, but
I mean, like, for example, like you guys might have early on in your career or whatever, as Restoration One, had been more heavy in the residential space. Once you started going into the commercial space, and we know that you guys had that situation last year with the ice freezing thing and whatever.
Big old giant.
Right.
We call it the thaw, not the freeze.
Right. So
everybody says the freeze. I go, no, it's the thaw that killed us.
So it's just
Thank
like
you.
when you guys
April.
started diving into that commercial space, while you knew the basics of the commercial space, because it's the same basics as a residential, it's just on a much larger scale.
Correct.
How difficult was it for you guys to break into that space and now over a year later be comfortable in that space?
Okay, so mechanisms of a building, the same.
Right.
Like you said, just larger scale. You're talking plumbing. Well, plumbing in a commercial building is just larger than it is on a residential building. You have some different things that are here and there, but for the most part, plumbing is different. Is just a larger scale, right? So not a big deal. No. Now, as a restoration company, and I'm sure April, you could probably attest to this, is one of the things that we had that we hit that we didn't know of, especially when we started our business, was to go and get a line of credit. And a line of credit is something that when you take on a large job, it helps you to sustain your expenses until you get paid for that large job.
Or AKA, oh shit money.
Whatever you want to call it.
Hundo, percento. Yeah.
A safety net, perhaps.
Statistic out there
yes,
that
politically.
for every, if you're in the restoration industry, the statistic is something to the effect of for every $1 million of revenue, you have to have $250,000 in working capital to float all the invoices that you're going to have, and that's pretty severe.
We had nothing. We had zero.
Right, it has to do with insurance payments.
Wow.
Yep. Correct.
Net 90s.
Correct.
Commercial building.
Correct.
all
100%. Correct. So we had zero. Took this job on. We did 1.8. We were at 1.8, and we took this job on, and had to float that whole nut. Had zero line of credit. That nut sucked. It nearly drowned us. It was like a bukkake of nut. It just drowned us, right? Like, so.
Don't Google. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Google the shit on that. I can't wait for it. Show it to your
Not
mom.
yet,
Google
which
and
is
show it to
weird.
your mom.
Facebook, we are not violating any
Show it to your mom.
of the community standards.
So this literally hit us, and like we were like, oh, how do we deal with this? Right? So that was when we took on something that we just didn't know how to, and it was okay. Now what do we do?
So was that tunnel scary?
100%. So
Right.
that's okay. So that to me is what? What'd you say?
The elephant, yeah.
That was well.
That wasn't the trunk you were grabbing.
That's where that's where the elephant just turns right at you and goes, motherfucker, I'm not getting eaten well.
That's right.
So instead of the tunnel being very bright.
Clearly, Joe goes ass first. Oh, what did you learn today? That was it, right there.
There it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So
He doesn't look the
So,
elephant in the eyes.
I'll look you dead in the eyes. You want to talk about it? So most tunnels to me have a decent light coming from it.
Yeah.
In that instance, the light went up. It went really slim. It still was there.
Okay.
I know what direction I'm going.
Yeah.
I never lose my direction. So if there's ever a little itty bitty sliver of a speck of a light, right? It's there.
So-
I have no problem knowing where the end of the tunnel is.
So how many businesses do you guys know, or what percentage do you think start digging a different tunnel when that happens? Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And squirrel or whatever.
Okay.
And they stop eating that elephant. And
I don't know if
Real fact.
Yeah.
Real fact. Only 4% of businesses ever established in the United States get over $1 million.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can I put that on my business card?
Correct. Accurate. No, only 4%. So
That's right.
96% of businesses started
Per Joe Turner.
do not get over $1 million, right? And that
Okay.
includes all the non-for-profits, every bullshit thing
I feel
that
like,
somebody goes, oh, I'm starting a business, and then they don't do
but
anything.
I feel like people
right?
get scared in the tunnel and they get
Right.
claustrophobic and they turn back to where
Or
the
they
light
start digging a
is.
different tunnel, yeah.
or
and
they go
this
in a
way-
different direction.
But even if they go in a different
Love that.
direction, it's a shorter version to the light where
Yeah.
they'll take that short success.
Is
and
it
they're
to
like,
the light or is it a fake light?
but they're like,
Ooh.
it's okay. You
What
know,
if
like,
it's a
I could take
reflection off
this.
the water in the
Right, it could be.
cavern that the light's coming down and then they dig down to the water and then they hit the water and then they look up and go,
It very
"Fuck,
well
I
could
can't
be
climb
because
out
our
to the light."
first year and a half in business, I
Sorry.
was that person.
That was a lot.
Like I was totally that
That was
person.
deep.
Like our first year and a half of business, where I was like, okay, and I would like inch in. I'm like, okay, too scary. Like, oh, there's some light. Okay, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna sit here
Yeah.
for a minute and rest for a minute, and then I'm gonna keep going. But now that I'm, 6.5 years in, and I feel much more comfortable and confident, I'm like, whatever. Like, let's just go. If it's dark for a mile and a
Balls to the
half,
wall.
well, if it's dark for a mile and a half, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like, I really,
Quite a bit could happen if it's dark for a mile and a half.
I don't-
I'm just asking you what.
I don't feel like I'm going to put my people's households in jeopardy as well as my own. I wouldn't go down a path that could potentially risk my household as well as the people that I'm responsible for.
Challenge. Okay, so you will not push it. So you are.
I'll push it.
You're
but,
going down a tunnel, but your tunnel is.
It's still a
risk-
tunnel
it's
of
not-
comfort.
It's.
I still have my weighted blanket that I take with me
Sure.
down the tunnel. It's my blankie, and I will go. Yes, I will go down there.
It's the tunnel of comfort.
I stick to,
Yeah,
I guess
It's
I
the
should
tunnel
say,
of comfort.
I've come to realize from trying to branch off into, we tried to branch off into the cannabis space. That was over $10,000 of wasted money. We tried to branch out
Was that a tunnel
into,
of comfort?
no, we tried to branch out into the QuickBooks Learning Center. Everybody on Facebook said, yes, they're in. They're going to come and do it. Did it. Nobody showed up. That was $5,000 of wasted
Yeah.
money. So it's just like,
My back.
every time yes, and Joe's back. So like if I feel like if I stick with my lane and I stick with what I know, I could charge ahead at a pace to where yes, I might make some risky moves, but it's not going to jeopardize my house and my team's house.
So your tunnel is more focused on what's at the end of the tunnel, really for your mission, your overall company goals, your overall mission values, right? Everything you started this company.
Well, don't you
company
feel
for,
some sense of like responsibility for your peoples and their households?
100%.
Like whatever decision you and Carrie make is
Yep.
going to affect their family eating.
Yes.
So like when it's just the two of you, it's vastly different. The risks that you're willing to take for your own house versus the risks that you're willing to take for other people's houses. Or are you willing to take the same risks?
Okay. I feel as though there are greater risks when I'm doing it for just me and my family and not my employees. Once I start to involve my family and my employees and everybody, all their families, I feel like it's not that the risk is less. I feel like the risk dissipates over the employee, right? Like I have multiple people to correct, right? So in the beginning, if the business were to fail, that's my entire family. Yeah, if the business were to fail, it would take a lot more to fail it. It would take a lot, right? Like, so there's so many hands that are involved that it's not going to fail due to one person faltering, right? Like now it takes the whole conglomerate to falter in order for our business to fail. Rather than in the beginning when it was just me, if I were to falter,
I understand what you're saying.
Right? Like now it's just one person, or now it's 15 people running a company. Or
right. So it'd be like a whole deck of cards that would have to come toppling down now versus just one domino.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Like you get what I'm saying is that in the sense of like, to me, now it's not so much.
You're eating a baby elephant at first. It's easier if it falls.
Well, I have multiple mouths. I have multiple forks eating the elephant,
Right.
right? Like now I have multiple people eating the elephant and cutting it up. So that bitch is going to get cut up real quick.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like April, when you had your own company, did you feel like a sense of like being a little bit more risk adverse, like when you started having more mouths to feed?
Versus now.
So, I mean, I get what Joe is saying. So you're dispersing the responsibility of the risk. So you're diversifying a little bit, but the parties, the stakeholders, I guess
are
one could
always,
say,
yes,
are now
correct.
multiplied.
Right.
So you do have more people that you're responsible for. And ultimately, to me, that carries more weight than having more people to spread the responsibility over, because at the end of the day, you're still responsible. I don't care how many employees you have, it's still you.
Mm-hmm.
By
Good
virtue
point.
of
Great point.
But when I owned an insurance agency, I had 3 employees. When the writing was on the wall that the carrier was no longer going to play in the game that I was in, which was convenience stores, gas stations, they're like, we're not doing this anymore. I knew there was a decision to be made because I knew my employees would not have a job in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I bounced because I knew other people that would hire them right away. So to me, it was just it was an easy decision because I didn't want them to die a slow death with me. I'm like, let's just cut this off now.
Right. So as an owner, do you feel the sense of responsibility to fall on the sword well before, or go down with the sinking ship and let everybody get the life raft?
Let's talk tunnels. Let's talk glory.
Or whatever. Okay, fine. Do you feel like you're going to switch off?
To divert the tunnel, am I going to take a trip down the Gringotts channel to go to a different vault?
But I'm just saying, like, if you have employees, I feel like you no longer have a choice. It's just like when you become a parent, your life is different. Like, you don't have a choice. You have people you're responsible for, and you need to fulfill your responsibility and obligation to those people as well as your clients. But I'm just saying, when you become a parent, you don't have a choice anymore.
Right. Now I have 5 people telling me I don't do anything. It's
I feel like when you're like,
really?
Like come even on. Like April had pointed out, because April has obviously come and met me in Vegas during the QuickBooks conferences, and she made an appearance and everything. And
I made an appearance.
Yeah, she came.
Like to make an appearance sometimes.
She filled the hole
Today.
Now during the conference.
But it's just, you know what I mean? Like, she came and was involved, and she's like, April like said it to me when we were standing there, and she's like, you're not their mom. Like, you're their boss. Like, they're adults. Like, they're going to get back to their room. They're fine.
Yep.
Like, you need to stop looking at your phone. You need to stop worrying. And I'm like, I can't. Like, it makes me anxious. Like it makes me anxious. Like I almost feel like such a strong
It's called
sense
a
of
boundary.
Amen.
I have no boundaries.
Amen.
Have you
Call
met
it
my family?
boundaries.
Goddamn, let it go.
Did we all just hear the same story before in the green room? I don't think she's got boundaries.
We know that.
So-
I think we've been doing
But
this
it's
two
just
and a
like-
half years.
So
We know she doesn't have boundaries.
So, as a salesperson, I get excited with short tunnels.
hmm
All salespeople.
Right? I get extremely excited with short tunnels because I'm like, I can get there. I can hit this. Right? The
easy
long
goals.
tunnels.
Easy goals.
I
Okay.
don't necessarily say easy, but if it's a small project or something,
That's an easy goal.
because my personality, like I loved being a rough framer, right? Because you could throw a wall up in a day and you could see, hey, look at the progress.
Look at my progress.
Right? And running a business, the hard thing for me is looking down that long tunnel, even though you might be able to see the light going, holy balls, man, that's way out there.
Right.
But I can run right down this one and get it done in 6 months or whatever, this project. So to me, I like the shorter tunnels, and I operate better with shorter tunnels than I do longer tunnels.
He's like a hockey.
Well, it's
puck.
just like those like things that you
Tuna
see, like
can. It's never mind.
like I don't know, like Mr. Beast has done on like YouTube. I don't know if you guys have ever watched that channel, but
Who?
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast? No.
So, like-
is he a tuna can too?
No, he's actually like a really well-known philanthropist in multiple countries, Joe.
Okay.
Anyways, but so Eli watches his channel. So
Definitely not.
so we watch it. But anywho, or I watch it with Eli. But anyways, so it's just like he will put you in a room for 30 days
Mhm.
with these different like things. Like so he'll give you like a pool table, a bed, a hot tub. Like you'll have like a whole
Yeah.
room of stuff, but you're isolated by yourself. And then as the 30 days progress, you get more and more money. But you have to give up like certain items from the room to
Yeah.
eventually where you're just in a room by yourself.
Weird.
And so I kind of feel like those long tunnels, like the reward is going to be the most successful big reward that you're going to get.
The deeper the tunnel.
Or you take
The
those
bigger
shorter
reward.
tunnels and you will camp out in those shorter tunnels
Yeah.
and then eventually make it
Mhm.
there. So it might take you 5 years to get to that end of that long tunnel because you'll do like a short tunnel, camp out for a minute, be comfortable, get hungry again, move on to the next sector. And then you're like, okay. And you stay within that comfort zone. But if you went for the long shot from the beginning, you might be able to achieve that in 3 years versus 5 years. But there's a lot of anxiety that goes with that.
Mhm.
Well, that depends. Hang on, I challenge that because I
Okay.
feel like there's the whole spectrum, right? You're calling I take the short tunnel every single time, and at some point I'm going to get 5 years.
Yeah, it's impossible for you to
Through-
not reach the end at a point.
As long as you're taking every short step,
Yeah.
You're
right?
eating that
Yeah.
elephant
And
one bite
camp
at a
out,
time.
like you
Yeah.
said, right? Now there's the person that sees the long tunnel and they literally, as fast as they can, they just blow their load and get through it. right?
hello.
Right.
Right.
So
but they might
they're
be able to
literally
do it
gonna
in a
do it-
shorter frame of time. But
Whatever. Right.
that anxiety, you have to decide if the juice is worth the squeeze and that anxiety.
Anxiety
level.
is to you, that long tunnel, that big project. I look at it and go, yummy.
Have you ever been in
I
a
mean,
room
like,
and
no, like,
spot, but
You give me a big old
Right.
elephant, I'm like, ooh, I
But you're the
can't
type of
wait to
person,
dive
Joe-
into this.
I can see that, Joe.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
but you're
you.
the type
Thank
of
you.
person that can go into a room and it's very difficult to make you feel uncomfortable. Okay.
You've discovered this.
So like if you
You have
go
discovered
into
this
a
personally.
room,
Slightly challenged now.
right? Yes, fine. Next event,
100%.
challenge accepted. We'll report
Try
back live
me.
on the air.
That's right.
Try me.
That's
But
right.
it's just like you can go into a room and you can spot those people, I feel like, that are wildly uncomfortable
Mhm.
and they will always take the longer path to success because they just have that anxiousness about them.
Hang on now, though.
But what is better,
I
really, though,
challenge you on that
realistically?
because they may not take that longer path. They may just be taking the path. What if they're going down the
Right.
IT path and they really are doing the fastest path, even though they're not the most social person in
I'm not
an
saying you have to
outgoing
be
standard?
social. I'm just saying you could spot people that when they're in uncomfortable situations, they immediately introvert, don't make eye contact. It could be the same thing when you're in the tunnel by yourself. You can see the
love
light
being in the tunnel by myself.
Right. You could see the light to the right, and you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna camp
Right.
here versus continuing on because my anxiety and my anxiousness takes over. It's just like when I was starting to hire staff and starting to relinquish control, and Kent was like, you're not doing it right. And like they're never gonna be successful and they're never
Gotta let
gonna
'em
like
go.
get to that next step. Like you're going to be the problem. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. And so I let it happen. And now, you know,
best
it was
January ever.
right. I mean, it was fine. Like everybody lived. We're fine.
Right.
No
We
cave-ins.
got through it.
You know what I mean? Like it was okay. But it was just like
It's hard.
being able to see that. Like I couldn't see that myself. I needed a guide. I needed somebody that's already been through that tunnel to tell me like it's okay to keep going.
Okay, so now the question would be to me would be, do you need somebody at the other end of the tunnel looking the other way going, come on, sweetie.
Me, I do.
Let's go. Well, you do.
I need a
anybody?
guide.
Yeah,
Yes.
a guide at the other end,
Right.
shining the light,
So
going.
have any of you had a business that failed?
This is my first business, so thankfully not yet.
Right. So I had a business
Yes.
that failed, right? So the tunnel to me is more of a water tunnel, even though I can see the light.
What's a
The water, it's like it's underwater. It's a tunnel underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see the light, but I'm holding my breath because I've failed at a business before, right?
Hmm.
So every step that I get closer to that, I'm like, I'm running out of air, right? What's going to happen? I can see it. I'm getting close, but
So
You're like,
this
is
would
there
be
going to
like,
be an air pocket
this is like
in the next 50
splunking.
feet?
Right.
That's splunking.
Right.
Splunking.
yeah,
You know what splunking is?
yeah, cave dwelling.
No.
Or
Cave diving.
Yeah.
So when you go splunking,
Yeah.
splunking, it's when you
So-
go diving in a cave and you're always looking, going, where can I get to next?
Right.
But all while holding your breath and looking back, going, can I get back there?
Right.
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 It's just like
Alive.
Yeah.
It's like no different
So-
when
Splunking.
it's no different when I'm saying that right now
Right.
Yes.
I'm slightly overstaffed. Like now the clock has started ticking. Like either I sign clients
You
or
get to the
I'm
next air
going
bubble,
to drown.
or you're turning around and going back.
Right.
You're
So-
not drowning halfway.
I mean,
you
like,
should
either-
have an exit.
Like either
plan.
some like
Right.
the problem is that
Shrunky.
either like
Exit
right
plan.
now with taking this 2024 risk and strategy that I'm doing, either I sign and close or somebody gets fired.
Yeah.
Like one of the two things is going to happen.
You have an exit plan. though.
So, right, I do, but like I would feel horrible to fire
Sure.
somebody over
Sucks.
my shortcomings
Yeah.
versus
Let's call
firing
it-
somebody
let's
over their
call it-
performance.
Right.
Let's call it your business performance, not shortcomings. You're sitting on phone books. Right
Allegedly. Nobody can see that.
Allegedly.
now.
But I'm just saying, like, me as a business owner, not being able to protect my staff, I feel
Yeah.
like is just as much of a failure as not protecting my
Phallic.
kids.
I
Did she
was
say
just
I
going to
heard
say,
it.
what are you
I
saying,
heard it.
phallic? Did you just say
A
phallic?
phallic failure.
I don't think that's the trunk
We've
of
all
the elephant you're
experienced
grabbing.
that
I-
before.
But it's just, you
No,
know what I
but
mean?
it's
Like,
definitely within the tunnel.
I just feel like I can't fail them because if I fail them because I couldn't close deals,
Yeah.
which that's my main job right now, that would have a huge impact on my confidence.
Would you feel that it's okay to shed an employee if they just came on and you're
shedding
like
them?
running through a
No,
tunnel?
because if they left another job
Right.
in the anticipation of seeing my vision and me selling them on this vision and riding along this crazy train with me,
tunnel.
and I failed
Glory
them, like,
Let's go with the
and
glory
knowing
hole.
that they have mouths to feed at home, like,
Through
that's
the
a
glory
heavy
hole.
weight. And I don't
So
know if I just put that on myself and I'm just weird and crazy.
Yes.
Glory hole
But-
is on you.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I feel a sense of responsibility for those people. And if I decide to take this risk,
Straight face you've been through this whole conversation.
it's all the tequila. Oh, I'd like to give, we're at the halfway mark. I'd like to give a 30-second read.
We are
to-
beyond the halfway mark.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I can't see that far.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways,
That's important.
I need to
Did you say
give,
you're not that tall?
I need to give a 30-second
Oh, you
read
can't see that
to La
far,
Trinidad
sorry.
restaurant in McHenry on
Great
120. We just came from there. Juan Valdez took great care of us as well as his staff. And I told him I'd give a shout out on the radio.
La Trinidad is such good food.
I strongly recommend
good.
any catering needs, any team building needs,
Yeah.
any whatever you want to go and have some food. They have great lunch specials. And
Queso in the glory hole.
so
La
we had
Trinidad.
so La Trinidad and McHenry. I would highly recommend you guys check it out if you have not.
And La Trinidad is Spanish for the Trinidad. So there you go.
Oh, shut your front door.
I know.
Wow.
It's a
I'm
nice-
impressed.
I've been doing Duolingo. That's
I'm
all.
impressed,
It's
Kent.
no- it
I'm
really
impressed,
sounds-
Kent.
Rosetta Stone.
Yeah. Rosate.
All right,
Stone.
so I like what you're saying because there's a lot of people who follow you guys and listen to the show.
Really?
That you run you head off towards that light, and then you turn around and run back and go, "Am I seeing it correctly?" Right. So
Right.
In my business, it's maybe easier than for me to say, okay, if I run in so far and I can accomplish this so far and I can run back out and look at it and go, yeah, got it. And then I run back in
That
a
to
little
me
bit
is
further.
splunking.
Yeah,
Right? Like
splunking.
it's hold your breath.
Yeah.
Can I get to the next air pocket? If I can go a certain distance underwater, look around and go, no air, gotta turn around
Right.
and go back.
And then what happens is, I think a lot of us that splunk then go, you know
That
what?
sounds so weird.
As I'm
from
going
him.
by the piece that I just did, let me stop and make it just a little neater.
Mm.
Right?
Mm. Can I add a little channel to add some air?
You're right.
And that way a little air,
make it.
Yep.
And then I get sidetracked, or people like me get sidetracked then from the light at the end of the tunnel because we're like, well, this was a cool project. I got that done, but while I'm running by, let me just tidy it up a bit. And then take 2 more steps and then run back out and look and go, okay, now I'm 2 more steps further. I don't know.
I know it does. We won't say it. So yeah.
Green room talk.
Green room talk. So so are you guys the person that goes in, because I love that.
Mhm.
There's like the whole what is that minder scaper? What's the
What?
mind
Flight-
game?
Fight versus flight?
No.
Mind versus matter?
Minecraft.
Oh,
Or
Minecraft,
what's
I
the
don't know.
Minecraft?
Zelda? I don't know, like the little games where
I
you
don't
go
do
and you
games.
just start hacking little.
Well,
rocks
Minecraft,
away.
you
Solitaire?
build your
Minecraft.
village and you
Yeah.
gotta save your
It doesn't
village.
matter. I don't
Minesweeper.
care what the.
Minesweeper.
I don't.
That's
Minesweeper,
right.
that's it.
Minesweeper.
Oh, I played that one too.
I love
But
Minesweeper.
same thing. Oh my god, I love that game. But it doesn't matter the game. Zelda, Minecraft, Minesweeper. It doesn't
right.
matter. You go in. You expand out from a certain central
Load
point.
Runner was a good one.
Right? There you go.
I need to
You
make
expand out-
mention before Joe finishes his point that
I'm
Eli
never gonna finish my point.
Eli beat Joe's high score on the video game in my new office. Just
because it
saying.
was
Okay, go ahead.
2. My
What?
high score was 2.
It's
Wow.
still whatever you
Yeah.
claimed your name to it. So
Did it really say my name?
yeah, so there you go.
Rumble?
Well, no, you can't put that many numbers, letters. But I'm just saying, Eli beat you. Challenge.
Anyway,
Challenge
all
on.
right, I'm in. So, if are you the kind of person that goes and you find a central hub spot in that game, whatever game it may be, and then you go and divert a full straight path off of it? Or are you one that goes out, 2-3 spots, comes back, goes out 2-3 spots more, comes back?
The gaming term is called camping.
Fuck.
I'm just saying
Does it matter?
Well, I'm just saying if you want to appeal to that, like people, it's
Camping.
camping. That's the name of the terminology.
Don't
I'm just
care.
saying.
Camping in the glory hole.
I can't wait for somebody
Tunnel.
to come in,
Vision.
camp and tunnel,
Soaking.
find the light, find the light at the end of my glory. Us.
So okay, so we're down to the last 15
wait.
minutes. Though.
No, we got time. Wait, do
15
you
minutes.
answer my question? Do you go
Uh-huh.
and are you more so with business too to go down and go straight down and follow something wholeheartedly, or are you going to go 2 steps into that, take a couple steps back, run 2 steps into something else, couple steps back, right? Are you sticking around your base camp?
In
Are you running a full?
In my first few years of business, I was definitely like committed to my base camp. But now that I've done it, I've tried some things that haven't necessarily
experimented, if
like,
you will.
right. So I've experimented that haven't, come out the way that I anticipated in my mind and my theories. So now that I've experienced those, like, I guess, failures or learning experiences or whatever people want to call it. Like, now that I've experienced those things, now I feel less afraid to run completely full on down.
Yes.
So, like, since I've kind of had those, the tripped over the hurdles, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about
Joe
it.
can't be an adult.
I can't believe you held the straightest
Yeah,
I'm just saying
straightest
it's
face through that
she's
entire
it's
thing.
probably
That was impressive.
a picture of margaritas and 3 shots and some whiskey.
I think
you can't phase me
there's
right now.
a point in
Can't be
every
shaken.
tunnel where you go, I have to commit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a very, very long tunnel. Being able to go out to California last week and doing what we did made me go, ooh, right?
Hard to commit.
No, it made it easier to go, okay, let's get back towards that big elephant.
I love.
Well, I mean,
right.
you guys made some big commitments this year with getting a second studio location that's concrete.
So not hard to
I mean,
commit,
you guys
just
are making big moves this year.
Not so it's not hard to commit. It's more just adjusting commitment
Correct.
to a more defined goal that is sustainable for years on years on years, right? Like, it's not like, hey, this year we're going for this. Next year we're going to go for that. This year, no, it's like, hey, for the next 5 years, we're going for.
I mean, we thought we were looking at a hippopotamus instead of an elephant.
Those are my favorite things to
that
eat.
was Big Daddy. Remember that?
We got it.
Hippopotamus.
Hip. He gets all the easy ones. Hippopotamus.
Okay, so we've talked about like the struggles and the fears and everything like that of going down the long tunnels. What's the difference in the end game that you guys felt going from like short tunnel to short tunnel to short tunnel to eventually reaching the long goal versus going to the long goal and going for it? Like, was there a different like feeling that you had? Was there?
I only know the long goal is at the end. I only see one tunnel. I don't
you
see
ever
short
gone
tunnels.
like short?
I think I think I just have a different perspective.
So you enjoy both long?
I think it is long. It's always long.
Yeah, it is.
But
that's what she
you're
said.
Checkpointing it, right? So whether it's short, whether it's long,
Tuna
you
can,
you
whatever
cannot,
it is.
like, say, hey man, I got this long tunnel, I'm going to get to the end of it, and not check yourself along the way and make sure you're making progress.
Well, clearly I've done that.
You shouldn't, because that's why you drink. I drink because it's fun, not
and
because
she
I'm
sits on
stressed.
phone books.
But so, like, an example of that, like, one of the major drivers, pretty much the main driver in my role.
Did you
at my
say
company.
man driver?
Main driver. In my role in my
Got
company.
it. Just
we
making
drive
sure.
top line and bottom line. That's pretty much the name of the game in my world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have a top line revenue goal for this year, and the January numbers are out. I'm looking at that saying, if I can get 1% better every month this year, I hit it. I
Love
beyond hit it.
Right.
And right now I'm at 2%. And let me rephrase. I'm about 1.5% ahead of schedule already. So I'm like, let's go.
So you look at the end goal.
I look at the end.
The light at the end of the tunnel and go, all right, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. Divide by
the month has
X amount of time.
The year has 12
This
months.
is my
I'm gonna check this thing 12 times.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Correct. Right?
So Kent, since you and I are similar as potentially like
Tuna
goal, like camping for a minute, goal, camping for a minute, goal, camping for a minute. do you feel like your goals, like, so if you had a goal that was short term, and then do you push yourself just a titch farther each goal? Like maybe this one was like 3 months. Now the next one's 4 months. Now the next one's 7 months. Like, do you kind of push yourself, or do you stay steady at breaking it out over 3, 3, and 3?
Yeah, probably 3, 3, and then 7. Or is it,
Are you
know what I
trying?
mean?
Are you
'Cause
trying
you're
to?
like, oh shit, I really got to put the hammer down.
Are you trying to grow your shaft?
Right. That's why I say you short, easy ones first, and then longer ones, because you're getting closer to
Like,
the end.
do you feel like each
right?
confidence booster,
which is truly
Shut up,
like
Jeff.
the procrastinations,
So,
like the
each confidence booster, do you
procrastinators,
feel like it makes it
Yeah.
easier to extend the length to the next goal?
Yes, but at times I like to camp there for a while and just bask in it. Right, I'd be like, oh god, yeah, this feels good, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, 2 weeks has gone by. We got to get back on the horse and ride. Right.
Because like Rich and I have gotten into many a fight because he is just gonna go. He like does not have like a low gear. It's always in top high gear.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, okay, let's dip the toe. Let's see. Okay, well, maybe. And then like, okay, like, no, I don't like this. It's too cold. Like, let's just turn the heater up a little bit.
So
like,
you don't jump into the water in a pool.
Well,
right
it's like
away.
weird because like I say this on air.
Walk in the steps.
But it's like I say this on air and my staff like watch the show. So it's like they're like, what the fuck are you saying?
They watch the show.
But they're like that they watch it.
Thanks, you 3 listeners. Look, we actually have 3 viewers
like
right now.
they,
4! Oh no,
we're getting paid for this. This is great.
But they're like that they watch the show, and some of the stuff I say, they're like, what are you even talking about? And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty risk adverse and I'm pretty conscious. And they're like, no, Steph. Like, no. Like, you are like on 10, 24/7, and you just go. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah. So when we went out there to California and we got back, people are like, oh, how was it? I'm like, I'm exhausted because we worked the entire time. Right. It wasn't like we were out there, hanging out with Goofy and Mickey Mouse and, the LA Lakers. I mean, we worked the entire time. Right.
Huh.
And it was a blast. But by the time I got home, I was spent. I was just like, man, right?
Every trip I go on. Yeah.
Right. So
same thing.
So for me, just in my
exhausting.
personality as a salesperson, I am that, all right, let's hit this one. We can set it out a little bit further and let's get a little bigger, whatever. But I still get excited about the big hunt, right? Is to go out and say, okay, here's where it is. And I, in the banking industry I've always been, okay, they want me to hit a revenue goal and I have to take a look and say, this product brings me the most revenue. So I chase after that and push hard on that because it's easier to get the one with the most revenue than a bunch of little revenues. Right. So I always play that kind of game.
All right.
But along the way saying it felt good here, getting a few little revenues. And
I was going to say, like, in my mind, as a salesperson, I always go after the small stuff while still.
Do you want 10 $1 million accounts, or do you want one $10 million account?
You're going for Moby Dick?
I would rather have 10.
Right. Half a dozen one, 6 the other,
But
right?
it's not.
Well, correct.
For a salesperson, it is.
However,
For
Gamish.
the owner, it is not.
it is not because
Right.
it's more labor.
Salesperson's happy
It's
about
more
that.
labor to do.
It's not even the labor, it's the risk.
It's
the
the
risk.
risk.
It's a
It's
million
huge.
%
Well,
risk.
Yeah, because like
Maybe not
me
in your world
having,
if it's
like-
a one and done, but if it's a recurring account,
Like,
in-
if I
in
have
my world,
10 million,
yeah.
it's
Right.
if I have 1 million accounts, I would rather have that all day than one 10 million account, because if
Right.
they leave, I'm going to be
Right.
sad at night.
Oh,
But as a mortgage guy,
Agreed.
give me $1 million
Of course.
mortgage.
Right.
Different-
Right.
different
Right.
Because I
Right,
do
well,
the same
yeah,
amount of work for
yeah.
that as I do for
Different
100,000.
products.
Right.
What
Absolutely.
I'm saying is,
We're on the same page. You guys are same page.
yeah. I'd much rather have the consistency. I'd much rather have that like normalcy. I'd much rather have if everybody can see in virtual world, not the juke and $10 million in juke and then back down, right? And then no, I'd much rather have, hey, this is a nice steady.
You'd much rather not be using an enormous line of credit to float your payroll because you haven't got paid yet. Get all of that. But
that's it.
In your world, in my world, I work in it's recurring commercial janitorial. So, we have monstrosity type deals that come through $20 million accounts a year. But then we have the ones that are $10,000 a month, and I'll take those all the time. But we want the big ones too.
You're not turning down the big ones. Yeah,
never,
absolutely.
Never. But you don't want that to be your only.
Still
account.
Good protein in the tuna can.
Eggs in a basket, right? You don't want all your eggs in one basket.
So like where we were at, there were 3,000 people at this convention, right? And the Starbucks in the lobby hotel, I'm sitting here going, this makes their entire year, right? I mean,
and then they have another event the next weekend.
I was going to say that's literally like
but
1/52nd.
And they were all
their week.
I was talking to some of the some of the managers there went on. They're like, oh no, we love this week. Because it's an entire week and this is right. And it was crazy. And I'm just sitting here watching and they didn't even care, right? They got the kids going slow, and I'm just like, you guys, this like you don't care because everybody's wanting the coffee. You're the only coffee place here. And it was amazing. I'm like, you guys are just, I would hate to be the next manager going, all right, you gotta beat January.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny you say that because, like, how when we went to QuickBooks Connect and we went to the QuickBooks conference, and there's a flood of us there. But also on Thursday when we left, the NASCAR came in and did the Formula One races or whatever. And so one of my clients came to my office actually the other day who is involved in pit crews and stuff for the Formula One. And those guys, not a fan.
No, they're
like like the whole experience was just different for everybody and everything involved in the situation. And one of the $4 million cars got damaged and stuff during that whole race, and it was like a whole thing. But like it was just interesting to get it from everybody's like perspective of talking to the people from behind the counters at Starbucks or other like casino type hotels, and then getting like my perspective and then getting like actual people on the ground for the event. Like it was just really interesting, like looking at all that. But we're down to our last 3 minutes. So I guess, what did you learn, Joe Turner? By the way, I mentioned Carrie. I introduced Carrie to all my employees, the new employees, as the head Turner.
She is. So what I learned is, if you look on the camera, Steph looks really good sitting on 4 books.
It's 3.
Allegedly.
No, there's motherfucking 4 under there.
Allegedly.
There's 4.
Oh wait, correction. There's 4.
And if you're just tuning in to see what they're looking at, we're talking about light. We're talking about light at the end of the tunnel.
That's why.
So I learned that Steph.
Hi, Mom. Way to show up in the
hey, Mom. Last minute, Mom.
What did you learn?
Jesus Christ. So, Mom, I learned. I'm sorry.
Love her.
Mom, I learned your daughter is really tall. I hope she looks tall on 4 books. What'd you learn?
Are these the ones that you use when you drive?
Yeah. I bring my own books everywhere I go. I have a backpack.
Man, she is smart. She's always got. Is that anatomy?
I guess I learned that Joe clearly goes ass first.
Yes, because it turned around and looked at him.
He's like a wild dog.
In the beginning, I turn it around when I get to the hard part.
But I've also learned that there's different strategies that can make you successful, even if you get anxious in the tunnel.
Yeah, I like it. April.
I learned that
Be an adult.
Joe finds it really important to differentiate between top line and bottom line revenue.
To be honest, I don't fucking care about the top line.
He only cares
what
about bottom
makes you money? The bottom line. right?
What do you got to pay
Thank
taxes
you.
on? The bottom
Thank
line.
you. Right? What makes you money? The
Joe
bottom
only
line,
cares about
right?
the bottom line because
Thank
that's
you.
what he's got to pay taxes on.
Shut up.
But
Don't talk to the
franchisor really loves the top line.
I don't care about a goddamn
Not gonna
franchisor.
lie, we love.
Yeah, I know what you
We
love. Yeah.
This is a
top
perfect
line
example.
Oh,
revenue.
should we start this conversation next show?
This is a perfect example of trenches versus corporate. Above the trenches
Oh.
and trenches.
Yeah.
I sleep like a
The
baby these
crevasse,
days.
the crevasse versus the knot.
That's
So
it.
what did you learn, Kent?
I learned that we've eaten crow, we've eaten elephant. You all have a weird diet when it comes to it. And lots of the dad, great place. Juan Valdez over there took care of the dad.
Juan Valdez give us free shots.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
Right, which is it. And here's the other thing that just because you're what I learned from Steph, just because you're focused on the light at the end of your tunnel doesn't necessarily mean it's your people's light. Right, because you thought January was because you were so focused on the move and everything that was happening there. You're like, I don't know, this one sucked. And when you stop to take a look at it, which I think is important in the tunnel, to April's point is, liars can figure, but figures don't lie. And if you don't stop and check your numbers, then you don't know how long the tunnel is. I mean, that's what I learned. That's what I learned.
We should dive in.
We should make that a shirt.
We should
should.
dive deeper into the tunnel.
If Tom Odell is listening, we need shirts for that
That's
specific phrase.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know how long the tunnel is.
In my company, all my employees
It's
call
like the
them.
math don't lie.
Yeah.
Math
Anytime
don't
we
lie.
make
Math's
something
not
up, they're called jisms.
That's it. And of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
you can get just as much.
Come on, bro.
You can get just as much protein out of a tuna can as you can out of
A hockey puck.
a non-tuna can.
A hockey puck.
That's it. Hey.
Oh, the cops are coming.
We can't thank you all for joining us here in our tunnel that's called In the Know with Steph and Joe every Friday at 3. Until we meet again, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.
Goodbye, Mom.